with any plan of action, the first thing you need to do is take immediate action. Pick one of those things, as an example, creating a website, getting your first client, writing an email to people to tell them about your business, no matter what that is, and take action. Action creates momentum, and momentum creates confidence.
This is The Entrepreneur Way with Neil Ball. Unlocking the secrets of successful entrepreneurs 7 days a week. Subscribe to our podcast and follow us on Twitter at Neil D. Ball. Napoleon Hill said the power of the mastermind is the driving force. To discover how you can unlock the potential in your business using the power of a mastermind, go to mastermindunlimited.com. And now, here is your host, Neil Ball.
Hello, it's Neil Ball here. Thank you so much for joining me today on The Entrepreneur Way. The Entrepreneur Way is about the entrepreneur's journey, the vision, the mindset, the commitment, the sacrifice, failures and successes. I am so excited to bring you our special guest today, Chris Delaney. But before I introduce you to him, I have a quote for you. Lillian Smith said, "When you stop learning, stop listening, stop looking and asking questions, always new questions, then it is time to die." The Entrepreneur Way asks the questions so we all get the insight, inspiration and ideas to apply in our businesses. Chris, welcome to the show. Are you ready to share your version of the Entrepreneur Way with us?
Yes, you know what? I'm really excited about this, Neil. One of the things I really love doing is like helping and encouraging other people. And by doing it through your podcast, I know that I'll be able to reach like a massive, massive audience. So yeah, thanks for inviting us, Neil. I'm really, really looking forward to it.
Thanks for coming on the show, Chris. I really appreciate it. Chris Delaney specialises in fast therapy, a unique blend of therapy for phobia removal, decreasing fear and anxiety, and boosting self-esteem and confidence. Over the last 10 years, Chris has built up a reputation as a highly motivational coach, helping clients to overcome their fears and to achieve their goals. Chris creates individual client-focused sessions and works with clients from all walks of life, from company directors to parents and teenagers. Chris, can you provide us with some more insight into your business and personal life to allow us to get to know more about what you do and who you are?
Yeah, definitely. Like I just said then, I'm probably like, my personality is all about giving. I'm really keen to sort of like help other people. And everything I do is all about making a difference in a person's life. So part of my role is to help people increase their confidence, increase their self-esteem, get over phobias, coaching people in their work with their career ideas. Everything I do is all about getting someone from A to B and giving them that support that they need to make that transition.
So have you got any examples that could you tell us some kind of story or something about somebody that you've worked with where you've done that type of thing?
Yeah, definitely. I had a client really recently who's quite high up in this massive organisation. And one of the things he's really keen to do is to like keep progressing up that career ladder, getting salary increase after salary increase. But what he's found is his presentation skills really let him down. And to go from like middle management to sort of high level management, the job interviews have a part where you have to do a presentation. And it can't just be a weak, ordinary presentation. You got to go out there with a bang, like give it something. You got to be able to come across as like confident, a great communicator and a great manager. And what he found was his own confidence, his lack of skills in this area really let him down. And after trying 1 or 2 interviews and failing and getting really critical feedback, he started to form a phobia about presenting on stage. And it got so bad that he started even not liking being introduced to new people. He was really like limiting not just his career, but his personal life. So in just one session, we did this like phobia removal technique where we got him to get his fear from his head and get rid of it and replace that with like a feeling of like confidence. And the second session with that phobia disappeared. We taught him like the techniques and the structure about presenting really well on stage. One of the things I do quite a lot is do workshops, presentations, keynote speaking, and I've learned like loads of techniques, loads of strategies that he could use. So with like an increase in confidence, loads of strategies that he could rely on. He went into his next presentation and just knocked it out of the room and got offered. I think his salary went up by about a third as well. I was like really impressed with his salary increase as well. And that's what I use. I use loads of different techniques from like NLP, coaching, hypnotherapy, solution focus, loads of different disciplines, and create what I like to call like a fast therapy to get someone from feeling anxious and scared and fearful to feeling excited and confident and great about themselves.
And is this something that do people have to actually come to see you to do this, or can you do it over the internet?
Yeah, both. Like I do face-to-face sessions, I do group work as well. I'm in the last 12, 24 months, I've been doing loads of sessions online as well, video coaching, which is really, really successful. I think a few years ago, you couldn't do it that well because the internet connection weren't that good. The sound wasn't great, and the quality of the video really affected the effectiveness of coaching. But these days, everyone's got like great sound, HD cameras, and you can do great coaching. Me sat in my office and the client sat in their front room.
What do you enjoy most about what you do?
You know what I love like when a client comes, I always get that little bit of fear because like, I'm really, really passionate about helping people. But there's that little bit of fear, and you need that fear to turn to sort of like an energy. But there's a little bit of fear, like, can I help this person? And people send you emails, they give you a bit of an overview about what they want, where they are at the moment. But you don't really know people's story until you meet them. And I love that. I love like meeting someone, getting to know that person, and seeing that massive difference. You know, someone who like that guy who like couldn't move up the career ladder, who was like really stuck, he was getting really stressed by it. His anxiety was affecting him in different parts of his life. And then in this like one session, his whole perspective changes, his whole skills change, his confidence really increased. And I love literally seeing it in the faces as I do the session. And at the end, I'm always like, really pushing people to see if the therapy's worked. With spider phobias, I pull out a box. The box has got loads of holes in it. And I'm saying, so do you think you're over your phobia now? And they sort of look at me, look at the box, and they sort of smile a little bit. And I say, I'm going to pass you this box. And I sort of like build up this anticipation to see how far I can take it. And 19 out of 20 people will open the box with their eyes closed and pretend, or they think it's a real spider in there, but we'll put a hand in the box to pull out the spider, which is just a fake toy one. So I love seeing that transition from a client coming in with their big problem and going away with it solved.
Yeah, it must be quite gratifying being able to do that and see those results.
Yeah, definitely. Like that's what I love about this sector. That's what I love about my job. And I do that with loads of stuff, phobias, public speaking, confidence. And I've even worked with different organisations as well, where I worked with this one company, and this guy, like, I started up a business in his bedroom, and it's all about internet marketing and infographics and making YouTube videos. And it was really, really successful. And the business has gone from this one guy in his bedroom to having like this big organisation employing about 30 or 40 people. But because he was so successful so quickly, it sort of lost the sort of identity of what he wanted to do. He didn't really know where he was going because he was just getting business, accepting that business, and it was taking down a path that he didn't really set out to go down. So what we did is come in with his management team. We did loads of activities about getting him to find out what they valued, what was important to them, the sort of ethos of the company they wanted to do, how the internally is like one concept, but externally from a marketing point of view is really, really different. And we did all these techniques over the day to get them to figure out who they were. And it was great because they sort of came in being really successful, having quite a lot of profit coming into the company growing in size in terms of profit as well as sort of staff size. But they felt like really lost, and it felt like if they didn't get a hold of this, the company maybe very quickly would go down the other side and sort of they'd have to make redundancies or lose business. But by the end of this session, they had like a real great idea what their identity was, what their mission was, what they wanted to achieve in terms of business and company ethos as well. And again, you could just see that transition from like them coming in not knowing what they were to leaving going, I can explain what my company is just using 6 words. It was fantastic.
And you're able to achieve that in one session?
Yeah, so, some of the one-to-one stuff, my sessions last between 60 and 90 minutes. With that company, for that particular task, we did like a whole day of different activities to really explore stuff, to sort of get this massive like overview what they wanted to achieve, and then to really narrow it down to something really specific that they could sort of talk during an elevation pitch.
And what is it that drives you, Chris?
You know what? Obviously, it's like helping people is really passionate. But I love to like learn and develop as well. So I'm in this industry now where there's like loads of research behind like how hypnotherapy is working. So like loads of neuroscientists are scanning people while they're in a hypnotic trance and seeing what parts of the brain lights up. They'll get someone who's phobic or something, scan the brain, see what the therapist does. And that might be, a hypnotherapist or a CBT therapist or a counsellor. And they're seeing how the brain changes during these sessions. There's loads more research into this sector than ever before. And we're finding that, we can make changes in people really, really quickly. You don't need 10 sessions anymore to overcome a phobia. You don't need, to spend 3 years in therapy to become a little bit more confident. You can get that within 45, 60 minutes. And I love that challenge of being able to get someone and make those rapid changes like really, really quick. And my mission is, if someone comes in and I click my fingers and within the 10 seconds, they're going from being anxious to really, really confident. Now, all therapists listening to that will be like, you can't achieve that. That's like absolutely ridiculous. But I like to set my goals high and I'm going to work really hard to try and achieve that.
Yeah, I think Tony Robbins says that change comes in a moment, doesn't it? You can make change happen in a moment, but a lot of people will spend a lot of time deciding that they're not ready to change it almost.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. And what I started doing at the beginning of the coaching session is really like challenge their beliefs, their values, especially like the generalizations that are limiting their life and the reason that they come for this session. Because what happens is that people have different barriers, different problems, different issues in their life. And generally they'll sort of live with those issues. And every so often they get a little bit stressed. They get motivated to do something a little bit different. So as an example, someone who's overweight will sort of live being overweight, eating the chips, going out for curries every night, not doing much exercise. And then, maybe a good-looking guy or a good-looking girl catches their eye and go, I need to do something about this. Me, looking obese is going to affect my love life. But normally like change in motivation is very small, it's very, not long lasting. And then they go back to their old ways. So what I do is like really build on the reason for that change, the pain that's affecting their life. Because if they more sick of what they're doing right now than they have a change, then they'll make that change. Where if people find the process of making a change so painful that they're quite happy to deal with the current situation, they won't make that change. So you've got to build up this anticipation, you've got to build up the leverage to help them make change. And once you're at that stage, the actual change process is really rapid.
And how do you relax when you're not working in your business?
Well, one of the things I try and encourage all my clients to do, and the thing I do myself, is you need to have somewhere where you can just let go. So one of the things is years ago, everyone was very religious. And when you went to church and you sort of prayed, that was a time for yourself that was a time for you to sort of self-reflect, to think about things that were going on and just to sort of let go and let all these ideas pop into your mind. Where these days with people who aren't religious, they don't have that sort of spare time to let go. Even in the 80s when you were going to work, that period from getting onto the bus, travelling to work for half an hour, was a time where you just went inside yourself. When you was inside yourself on that bus, ideas and thoughts came to you. But these days, people are on mobile phones, they're on the internet, the life is busy from waking up to going to bed. And I think doing something like mindfulness, some meditation, some self-hypnosis is a really powerful thing, just to let go of things, to let your mind absorb what's going on in the world, in your life, to give you that light bulb moment. Me personally, I self-hypnosis, but I also go for long walks, go out hiking quite a lot, where I just allow all my thoughts to come and go as they please, giving me those light bulb moments, giving me those reflective ideas, and giving me some great suggestions. I find it really beneficial.
Do you have any entrepreneurial role models, Chris?
Yeah, definitely. Like, there's some people that I really admire that aren't actually famous. So some people that I've met through events that I've done, or people who sort of mentored me in the past, as well as people like Tony Robbins, like you mentioned before, and Richard Bandler, who sort of set up NLP. And Tony Robbins is so successful as a therapist, but he's so successful in business as well. I love Richard Branson as well, just his whole ethos about supporting people. He really encouraged mentoring in all these different businesses, his innovative ideas, creating new ways of marketing himself, from the hot air balloon to having rockets that go into space. I just love that creativity that goes along with business. Walt Disney as well, fantastic. Obviously, he died many years ago, but just if you read anything about Walt Disney, his process for creating ideas and his determination to make things work, and the way he used to set up his business meetings with like sweets and music playing and stuff like that, loads of creativity. But some of the people I really admire are people who aren't in the sort of celebrity status, but are being really successful in the thing that they want to do.
Yeah, you've mentioned a couple of things there, Chris, which are interesting. You talked about mentors, about personal mentors, and also, well, you talked about mentors. How have mentors helped you?
I've been so lucky. I think because of the sector I work in, everyone wants to really help each other. So it's great. And I literally ask people, like, you're so successful with this part of your business. Can you mentor me and support me in that? And most people literally just say, yeah. They're sort of surprised sometimes that I ask them, but people are really willing to give, actually. You want to ask people, will you help me? Most people will say, yeah. But what I look at, I'm quite self-reflective. So I know the things I'm really good at. I know the things that I need to develop, and I know things that I'm good at that I can still improve on. And what I look for is not a mentor who's got, a business that I want to copy, or a person who's got, everything in their life that I want. What I look for is the individual things that I want to tweak in my life. So someone, maybe good at marketing themselves, and I might want to model that, or someone might have a great manner about them when they're doing a therapy session, I might want to model that, or someone might have great knowledge about a certain subject that I want to get mentored on. So I try and pick different people for specific things. So I'll have a mentor for 6 months for a specific thing, and then I'll find a new mentor for a different thing. And I find that's a very fluid way to sort of grow. But I've got a great guy, a friend's dad actually, who got me really involved into hypnosis, and he's really supportive. We share ideas. He shares his massive wealth of experience, his knowledge. We chat about different situations and different types of therapy that I can support clients with. After sessions, I reflect back on my practice and what I did and what I felt I needed to improve. And he's a great person to soundboard off, to give me ideas and to suggest new ways of working. And we do loads of that over email, actually, because he lives about 200 miles away from where I live. But he's been really supportive and really helpful throughout my therapy career.
Yeah, it's good to have a soundboard like that, because it just gives you time to sort of reflect on what you're thinking, and sometimes you can change your thinking just as you're talking about it, can't you? And then obviously when you hear someone else's opinion about it, then obviously that helps reinforce or helps you to change your mind on what you need to do. Chris, the other thing you talked about before was Walt Disney, and his story was just amazing. I mean, you talked about examples of some of the things he used to do, but his life is just an amazing story to watch. And if anybody's looking for a good book to read that's motivational, then that is a really good book. Chris, what I'd like to talk to you about now is the time before you were an entrepreneur. What difficulties did you have to overcome when you started your business?
Well, I sort of left school with no qualifications. I'm dyslexic. I had a terrible, terrible list when I was really, really young. I sort of look back now and I think, this dyslexic guy who couldn't speak is a therapist who sort of talks to people all the time. It always makes me giggle a little bit. But I sort of left school and ended up doing loads of manual labour jobs, which I absolutely hated. I'm not a big guy, and I was working in warehouses where I had to carry really heavy weights, massive bags of spuds, big blocks of bitumen, which weigh really, a really heavy weight. And for me, I just knew that sort of line of work wasn't for me. And I always had this thing where I just wanted to help people. But at that time, I had really limiting beliefs and believed, because of my dyslexia, because of having no qualifications and some other barriers in my life, that I would just never get into that line of work. So I went out there and volunteered, and used to work with disability groups and scout groups and youth groups, and just got into volunteering to helping people in different ways. And from that, I picked up loads and loads of skills, and I found that I was really good at motivating people, or increasing people's confidence without actually realising. And when I realised that, I thought, maybe this is something I can learn or I can improve on. And I started to read books on this. And I remember I was a guy who never read any books at all. And I was looking at my library now with about 500 books. And again, I'm God, I would never have thought this when I was age 14, 15, 16. But I got that passion to learn, that passion to improve myself, and I forced myself to read. And it used to take me about 8 months just to read one book, where now I read a book every couple of days. I can be reading a new book. And just that drive and that ambition, that ability to increase my skills, and with a bit of luck, just landed me my first job where I got paid helping people. And that was helping people to learn how to pass forklift truck courses. And I use that as a sort of a place to sort of elevate me into the line of work now. But throughout all the different jobs I had, I always wanted to be the best at it. I always wanted to learn how I could motivate, encourage, and build passion in the people that I was supporting and helping with. And I'd always pay for my own courses while I was working full time. I'd always be reading more books. If I went on a course, I'd question the trainer, get their now email address. I used to write to people quite a lot. Read books on the back of what people was teaching me, research new ways of working, and really put in practice the things I learned. I always find that people go on courses, go, wow, this course is absolutely amazing. These techniques are fantastic. And then they go back to work and never, ever use them. I was determined that I'd get a technique and I'd implement it, try it, make loads and loads of mistakes, reflect on my practice and improve myself. But I've always had that passion to help people. And I thought, I'm going to have to overcome my own barriers, my own problems, my own, limiting beliefs, really. And now they're all gone.
That's a great story that you've told there about how you've overcome that, because obviously starting from being dyslexic and for where you were to getting to where you are now is quite a journey. So thanks for sharing that, Chris. Did you have any doubts that delayed you starting your business?
Yeah, definitely. When I first did the coaching stuff, I had a really, really cheap, it was a free actually, a Blogspot website, the most unprofessional thing, I can't remember what it's called now, but life coach at blogspot.co.uk or something. It's just so unprofessional. And I thought, I'm so lacking experience and so lacking skills that I thought I weren't going to do that well in this sector. This is when I was trying to merge into the self-employment market. Because I ran loads of courses relating to careers and employability stuff, and I was really, really good at that. But I wanted to move into helping people with their personal problems, which is very similar techniques but very different. And I used to meet people in a busy coffee house as well, so trying to coach people with their personal problems, with people budging past you or spilling a latte onto your table. In my mind I was thinking this ain't professional enough to work. I was only charging people £5 or £10 or whatever, so I think people expected it not to be the most professional setup. But after doing that for a while, I sort of thought, if I want this to be successful, I need a new way of working. I need to increase my fees. I need to believe in myself, and I need to set something up a little bit more professional. But I needed to first step into that thing of let's give it a go. Let's go out there. I am going to make mistakes. The cost of my sessions are just minimal. People know I'm going to make mistakes, but I had to get myself out there, and get myself out there willing to make mistakes was the key thing that made me progress in this sector.
What are some of the things that you did before you started your business that would be helpful tips to some of the listeners who haven't yet taken the first step on the entrepreneur way?
Go for it. You got to just put yourself out there. People across the world, but especially in the UK, hate the thought of making mistakes. They don't like other people saying, how are you getting on with your business? And you used to say, I've not had a client for 6 months, or I had a client who said to me, this session's not helping, or I've not made enough money, or whatever your business is. People are so worried about letting other people down, letting themselves down, that thought, that pain of people asking that question is enough to put them off making any attempt to do anything. And what I say to everyone is, go out there. You know that in the first year you're going to make absolutely loads of mistakes, but if you don't ever take that first step, you'll never reach your goal. So no matter what it is you want to do, get some ideas, be really innovative, be really creative, think of the thing that you want to produce your business model, and then step back from that and logically analyse it. So does this idea work? What are the barriers to this idea? What are the solutions to those barriers? What are the other perspectives rather than from my innovative point of view? Once you've got a creativity, once you've got innovation, you can then take action. And that's a model actually that Walt Disney used quite a lot. You get into this really creative, innovative mode, come up with all these different ideas, creating a feature-length cartoon film that had never been done before. And when he was in that creative persona, he'd never criticise anything he did. It was just creativity, idea after idea. Once all those ideas had come out, he'd step back, logically look at everything, criticise things, look at the potential problems. And then sometimes he'd jump back into like the creativity thing. So here's a problem, what's a creative, innovative way to overcome that? And once he'd done that a few times, he'd have a plan of action. And with any plan of action, the first thing you need to do is take immediate action. Pick one of those things, as an example, creating a website, getting your first client, writing an email to people to tell them about your business, no matter what that is, and take action. Action creates momentum, and momentum creates confidence.
Mm-hmm. Of course, one of the ironic things about fear of failure is that when you don't take action, you automatically fail.
Yeah, definitely. And I just think this stuff's instilled with us when we're very young. Loads of people get criticised when they're very young, and I think that pain from that criticism really puts people off as adults who are meant to be this more professional person, to take action. And you just sometimes need to plan things, but sometimes you just need to do it. And if you can reflect on your work, that's the thing that will carry you forward, because you'll know when you've been lucky, you'll know when you've made mistakes, and you'll know when you got things right. So take action, reflect on it, and then take more action.
Thanks for that, Chris. Chris, what I'd like to do now is just talk about the entrepreneurial journey a little bit more with you. Do you think culture is important from the beginning in a business?
Definitely. Culture's everything. I do so much stuff about, career professionals going from one sector to another, or from one job to another, or from one company to a different competitive company. And it's really funny because people go, for years I wanted to be, as an example, a project manager. I always wanted to do that ever since leaving school. Went to college, went to university, I trained. I read all the books, I met all the mentors. This is my life passion. And then they get that position and they're so excited. But within 5, 6, 8, 12 months, they're really unfulfilled in that job role. And they don't understand why, because they sort of read the job spec, they understood the criteria, they got the qualifications, they knew it was the thing they was ambitious about doing. But then sat there 12 months later, they're really, really unfulfilled. And what it is sometimes, it's not the job position or the duties, it's the company ethos, the company's values, the company culture. And what you need to do is find a job that matches the criteria that would inspire you in the workplace, but you also need the company culture to do that. I do a lot of work just on my own, but then when I've got big projects coming, I then subcontract work out to different people. And I always talk to people, one about their experience and the skills they've got, but one about the thing that motivates them, the thing what makes them passionate about doing the work that we're going to do together. And I need to hire someone with both of those things, with the experience for that position, but someone who's got the passion and the right set of values to deliver that, especially when I'm doing like motivational workshops. Just imagine someone coming along who's got 10 years experience as a trainer, but they just got no passion about motivation. Passion comes out in your tone, in the words, in the way you relate to the people that you're talking to. So you need both of those things. You need the culture and you need the experience.
Knowing what you know now, is there anything that if you'd known it when you started out would have helped you to shortcut the learning curve?
Yeah, like I wrote a book I can't remember what it now, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I wrote a couple of ebooks before that and stuff, but I got this book published. And I just sort of like, the publisher got it all done for me, but it's got loads of spelling, because I'm dyslexic, it's got loads of spelling mistakes, and I thought they was going to get it proofread. I'm sure that's what it said in the contract. But what I learned from that is that you need to make sure that with the stuff that you're doing, that you want it the way you want it done. So as an example now, I'm just about to release a new book very soon, and I'm just getting that, I'm deciding whether to get it published or self-published, but I'm going to make sure that the 10 steps that I need to make this book from being good to being excellent are covered in there, not just relying and believing that other people might do things that you would want them to do. You sometimes have to check stuff, you sometimes have to make a plan, you sometimes have to get a list of criteria that you want. And I'm more like the sort of doing it off the top of your head, the innovative sort of type of person, but I've learned that with something you need to be more organised and planned. And I think going back in time, if I knew that, my enthusiasm, my innovation creates me to take action, but planning and being a bit more critique will get a better result. If I knew that then, Maybe other things would have happened, but I actually needed to go through that learning journey actually to be where I am now.
And how much does gut feeling influence your decisions in your business?
Loads, because the way your mind works as well. This is what my new book's all about, actually, the sort of process of your mind. And one of the things is that you just get natural gut reactions about things, and you need to listen to that gut reaction and take note of it, because your mind is so complex. It pulls in all this data from like loads of different resources, just from like looking at people's facial expressions, the way people's posture are, the tonality, your own personal experiences, the state that you're in at that particular time. And all these like million pieces of information create like that gut response. If that gut response always gives you a good outcome, a good result, then you want to listen to that gut response all the time. But sometimes your gut response, because of your own past experiences, can give you like an associated emotion to a situation that's wrong, actually. So if you go into business meetings and you always come out unfulfilled about that outcome because you go with your gut reaction, you know your gut reaction is wrong for that particular scenario. So what you need to do is think more logically and get your sort of conscious brain to sort of question things and question that gut reaction and ask detailed questions about people's generalized answers. Whereas your conscious mind is overthinking two things, which is one way people procrastinate all the time. What you want to do is shut that conscious mind down and go with that gut feeling. Your mind is great. It helps you make loads of positive decisions, but at the same time, it helps you make bad decisions as well. So if you're overthinking things, turn that off and go with your gut feeling. If your gut feeling gets you bad mistakes or bad outcomes, turn that off and go with your conscious, more logical mind.
Mm. It's interesting that you say that. One of the things I do a lot is I'm always trying to tune my gut feeling. So what I do is when things don't matter in situations where it's not particularly critical, I might try to figure out an outcome in a situation and then see if I'm right. So I'm always making this adjustment process to try to improve my gut feeling. Have you got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, definitely. That's a great way to do it, because what a lot of people do when they overthink stuff, they'll get an idea like, I want to set up a business, and then what they tend to do is overthink this or make too many steps to it as well. So like, I want to set up a business, I've got to come up with a brand, I've got to come up with a logo for that brand, I've got to come up with a website, I've got to think about the 10 million different social media channels to get in there, I've got to think about my mission, my statement. To get this to be in a good place, I need to research lots of different people who've been successful in that, find a mentor, find a model. And you have like these millions and millions and millions of steps. It just goes on and on and on. And your mind, when it thinks of more than 6 to 8 steps, it just can't handle that amount of information. And what you need to do sometimes is go, right, I want to set up a business. What are the 3 steps I need to set up that business? What's my product? What's my marketing campaign? And what's the structure of my business? And by knocking 100 million chunks down to 3 manageable chunks, you feel more confident about taking action. And when you take one of those chunks, you can look at it and go, the 3 steps I need to achieve that first goal, that first milestone, that first chunk is A, B, and C. And then sit back and let your gut reaction decide if that's a good thing. If those steps will sort of empower you. If your mission is the thing that is in line with your values. And it's about being clever about consciously choosing the plan of action and then stepping back and thinking, does this feel right with me because of my experience, because of my skills, because of things that I'm passionate about? And when it does feel right, take action. When it doesn't feel right, ask your logical mind, what part of that process is wrong for me? And it'll answer, it will give you that idea, and you can change it then, be creative, be innovative. Sit back again and go, right, now we've made these changes, is that the right thing for me? And that process is what we talked about before when Walt Disney did something so similar. You got to use all those personal resources you got inside your mind.
So one of the things I do, Chris, which is quite interesting from what you've just said there, is if I've got a problem and I'm trying to find a solution to something, one of the techniques I've developed over the years is I will brainstorm that idea. And I might even write down a pile of things about it, anything that comes to my head. And what I'll do is when I've gone through that process to a point that I think I've done it enough, I'll put down that piece of paper and walk away from it, and I'll sleep on it. And what I find is is the next day I'll come up with either more things that I should have put on there that I didn't put on there, or I'll just know what I need to be doing at that point. So again, what are your thoughts on that process?
Well, if you think about any major scientific discovery, it's always come in that daydream state, and it? The apple falling from the tree, the water pouring out the bath. Because what happens in your mind is you're sort of like logically thinking about things all the time. You're learning all the time, and your experiences grow day after day, getting compounded and compounded until you become like an expert in the thing you're sort of niching in. And that's a great way to learn stuff. You take a task, you think about the steps you need to learn it, you put those steps into conscious action, and you become an expert in that thing. But what happens when you're consciously thinking about things all the time is that you don't have that space to innovate for ideas to pop into your mind for that light bulb moment. And it's only when you sort of step away from that, you lie in a bath, you pray in church, you go for a hike, or you do some meditation or self-hypnosis. It's when you turn that conscious part of your mind off, your subconscious mind, with all this massive amount of data and information, all these experiences you have, all these books that you had, all these mentors that you talk to, all these real life experiences, it gets all that and mixes it all up and shoots out different ideas, and some come and go, and some are ridiculous and some are pointless. But then a great idea, that apple falling from a tree, and then realizing gravity is a real thing. But you need to be able to cut off your conscious mind for that innovative mind to take over. But without your conscious mind being on, to learn all the details, to learn all the facts, to take something that you're learning and turn it into a habit, your subconscious mind will have that innovative idea. And that's why we need to use both our minds. Repetition is the master for learning any skill, which is a great Tony Robbins quote. But actually, when you sit down, when you relax, when you think about something completely different, your mind will be so powerful that will give you like really, really innovative ideas.
Life is made of constant change, whether we like it or not. And some people say the only constant in life is change. Chris, how do you try to keep up with change?
Well, I want change all the time. You talked about like mind mapping and brainstorming and all sort of like different ideas. And that's a great way to sort of like generate new ideas. Other people are more organized or logical and will do that same process, but like using lists all the time. So when you look at people's personalities, one person might be a perceiver and one person might be a judger, which is like a Myers-Briggs personality temperament. But what happens all the time is you have this natural persuasion, this natural way of acting, which is great because when you are in a career or a business, or you set up your own business, and it's relative to the sort of way you work best, your natural personality, your natural temperament, you tend to be really good in that sector. So someone who's very creative, who gets into a marketing business, will be really good at it because they're very creative people. But what we also need to learn is like other parts of our personality. So that creative person will sometimes need to be more organised and more logic, more sort of in the forefront of their mind, because some creative person might not look too much at the accounts as an example, and that could be ruining their business. So we need to look at what we're doing well, what our natural temperament is, but also look at what our weaknesses are, what we need to develop. And I constantly do that, constantly reflect on everything that I do. And I'm constantly thinking, like, what do I need to tweak? What do I need to improve? I want that personal change for myself. The internet is just changing absolutely everything, isn't it? Technology is changing absolutely everything. We won't have manual jobs soon because we'll have robots doing it. We're going to be holidaying in outer space. We're going to have drones delivering our parcels instead of postmen. We're going to have massive advances in like medicine. People are going to live to like 110 years old. We're going to have high tower farming. There's so many things that's coming, but everything changes really, really rapidly. Nothing stays the same. If you've got an iPad and you take it to get repaired and your iPad's over 3 years old, the repair shop won't have the parts that you need anymore. And what we need to do as entrepreneurs, with business owners, even with our personal life, is embrace change, because we're living in a world which is moving at a rapid pace.
What is your favourite book on entrepreneurialism, business, personal development, leadership or motivation? And can you tell us why you have chosen it?
Oh, there's so many books. I said before, I read loads of books. I'm a massive fan of like Robert Greene. He wrote like Mastery in the I think it's the 7 Rules of Power. That's like a great book. But one of my favourite books is Priceless by, I think he's called William Poundstone, I think his name is. And that's about the psychology of sales. So I also like
What's
that
that called again, Chris?
It's called Priceless by William Poundstone.
Okay.
It's a great book, but it's about the psychology of sales. So I like it because obviously I can use some of the techniques when promoting my business, but I just love the psychology behind how people think. And it does stuff like, I'll try this on you. So imagine that, I don't know, you've been dating recently and everything's going well, and you've been invited round to your new girlfriend's house, and you're in the supermarket, and there's 3 bottles of wine. There's one for $3.99, there's one for $5.99, and there's one for $7.99. Which bottle of wine do you think you would choose to take round for that date?
That's a tough choice, that, isn't it? I'd probably go for the $7.99 one at that level.
Okay, so most people pick the middle price. So when we're shopping for things, we tend to go for the middle price, which is why in all supermarkets you'll have the supermarket's own brand, which is the cheaper one. You'll have like a sort of semi-famous or famous brand, which is the middle one. And then you'll have like your sort of like more expensive, high-end sort of tin of food. And most people, generally about 8 out of 10 people, will go for the middle one. But the good thing about this is the next choice. So imagine you went to that same shop and had a bottle of wine for $3.99, one for $5.99, one for $7.99, but then one for $10.99. Which one would you choose then?
I'm not a great wine drinker, but if I was, and I knew that the $10.99 one just tasted nicer and the other stuff tasted like paint stripper, then I would pay for it. I mean, I've done that with things like Chateauneuf de Pape and things like that, where it costs more money because it tastes nicer. So it really depends on an opinion on it. But if I didn't know, I suppose there would ultimately be a threshold where I'd probably say, well, I'm not going to spend that amount of money because I don't think it's worth it. So I'd probably, the $7.99, I'd probably stick with that, quite honestly.
You'd probably stick with that because in the experiments around this, most people who pick the $5.99 one, the middle of the road people, which is most of us, well, actually, when they got a choice of 4 bottles of wine, will then choose the $7.99 one over the $5.99 one. And it's about the same percentage of people will do that, about 8 out of 10 people. But one of the interesting things that you said, which is also covered in this book called Priceless, is that you probably go for the higher one because it tastes nicer. And we all do that. We all put quality to value, which is actually fake, because in most food and wine experiments, it's often the cheaper food or the cheaper wine, which on a blind taste tastes nicer. And you can do that. You know, when I first got into this coaching stuff, I used to go on quite a lot of training courses, and the first thing loads of trainers said to us is, whatever you're doing, the first thing you need to do to get more clients is triple your price, because people think price equals quality, which it doesn't. But our minds are influenced by certain things. And this book's full of stories and techniques like that. So I find it such an interesting read.
Everyone, when you have a busy life, listening to audiobooks is a great way to expand your knowledge in the time when you may be doing other things, such as driving or when you are at the gym. We have a special offer for you of a free audiobook of your choosing. To choose your free audiobook, go to www.freeaudiobookoffer.com. As long as you've not already signed up, then you will qualify. Chris, what I'd like to do with you now is speculate about the future a little bit. What one thing would you do with your business if you knew that you could not fail?
If I couldn't fail, well, I sort of have that mindset quite a lot. But what I'd love to do is, because I do quite a lot of training as well as all the one-to-one stuff, and I'm being really successful in the one-to-one stuff. I'd love to deliver massive training courses that will help people change their life to like massive audiences, along the lines of what Tony Robbins did, where he'll fill out an arena and he'll do some like live therapy with people. It's not just about people listening to like 5 or 10 techniques and you go home and you have like an ebook you can take with you, or some handouts. You can see like he's really passionate, and you can see the energy in the room. You can see he makes loads of changes with people standing up in the audience when he'll pass the microphone over, and they've got these terrible past life experiences, and he doesn't shy away from that. He embraces it and then helps those people, gets people on stage and makes life changes. And one of the things I really like about Tony Robbins, that is, and he's so successful, like from a business point of view, you know, he's so successful, but he's passionate about the stuff he does. He might make loads of money, I presume he makes loads of money, but his sessions aren't just about, oh, you know, I can do a 3-hour session here and I can charge everyone 10 grand. He actually, his sessions go on from like 8 in the morning to like 9 at night. They're like full on proper sessions. And I love that ethos that he's got, but I love to be in that place where I could deliver to, you know, massive crowds.
Well, you're now committed to it.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
What skill, if you were excellent at it, would help you the most to double your business?
Well, marketing would really help. You know, everyone in my sector, or the clients in my sector, look for people online. It's the way we're going. And we talked about mentors before. I've had some great marketing mentors, actually, people who've been like really successful marketing online and having like online businesses and growing like, you know, multi-million pound companies. And they've been really good to share their like advice with me. For me, if I could compound that advice I've been given and increase that skill in marketing, that massively make a difference to my business. And maybe I could then market an arena tour and get, you know, thousands of people coming to watch my live.
Yeah, I can see this coming together now. In 5 years from now, if a well-known business publication was publishing an article on your business after talking to your customers and suppliers, what would you like it to say? Well,
I've had this done, actually. I'm quite lucky, maybe because of the advice I got from my marketing mentors, but I've been quoted in quite a lot of massive online organisations like The Guardian, Virgin, bloggers posted some of my stuff in there. You know, I've been quoted a couple of times, which is fantastic. But I think if people spoke direct to my customers about what I do to support them, I think they'll say how wonderful and supportive my coaching session was, and how fast they went from being fearful and anxious to being confident and phobic-free.
We're now at the part of the show where you share 3 golden nuggets with us. Chris, what is your favourite quote and how have you applied it?
Well, one of my favourite quotes, and there's several that I can always get off the top of my head when everyone asks me, but this one is the one I'll share with you today. I'm a great believer in luck, and I find the harder I work, the more I have of it, which is from Thomas Jefferson. Because I always think, you know, there's loads of self-help books, and that's the sort of sector I'm in, this sort of self-help, therapy, improve your life. And they always say, you know, I've been successful. If you copy my 7 steps, you'll be successful. Or if you set goals and you visualize what you want to do, you'll always achieve it. Or, you know, if you work and put effort in and you know, you reflect on your practice, you'll always be successful in business. And there's loads of all this sort of stuff, like follow my instructions and you will have my same success. And you can do, you know, these people often who write these books, and you know, the book I talked about before is like loads of rules to help you pass job interviews. And if you do follow those techniques and those structures and the things that they experienced in, you will get the same result. But a lot of things come down to luck as well. And you need luck plus experience plus passion to help you be successful. Sometimes if that luck's missing, you can be the most skilled person, the most passionate person in that niche. But without that luck, you might not get that big business deal. You might not get that client who then shares your company with, you know, hundreds of other people. Or you might not get that television interview or whatever it is. You do need luck as well. But I find if you're passionate about something and you immerse yourself in your business, the thing that you're, you know, wanting to be successful, you tend to build and find your own luck as well. You can be in the right place at the right time. Without passion and experience, you might not have been there. But at the same time, without luck, you sometimes don't get that key opportunity that can make all the difference.
Do you have a favourite online resource that you can share with us?
Well, you know what? This is probably going to be the worst answer that you get out of all these podcasts that you do. But YouTube, and I know that's quite funny, but there's so much stuff on YouTube. You just get like loads of successful people sharing stuff. But what you're also finding that is some amazing nuggets from people who have bedroom businesses, people who have been successful that are not in the limelight, and people who are on the progress to being successful, who will be in the limelight in 5 or 6 years. And sometimes by following these unknown people and listening to advice from people who aren't famous yet, you can get a real good insight into what's making them skilled, what's making them become an expert, what's making them be the next celebrity that will be following in the next 5 or 6 years. And YouTube's great as well, actually, as a business point of view. So many people are making so much money off YouTube now. Those makeup videos that a lot of teenage girls are watching, they get absolutely millions of followers on those videos. And these are people in the bedroom showing people how to do the hair, how to put makeup on, or talking about clothes they bought from the shop. A massive following that, and people are making millions of pounds. These people who started these makeup videos about 5 or 6 years ago in America are absolutely celebritized now. They're going to premiere openings, they're getting invited to like big posh do's, red carpet events. They're being absolutely, in terms of success, fantastic. And they started off by doing something they was passionate about sharing tips on makeup. There's a really famous video or set of videos, which is, I don't know how this has become successful, but it's got over 7 million hits, and most of the videos in this niche have about 7 million hits on it. And it's basically someone getting a Kinder egg with no chocolate on it, opening up the plastic egg and pulling out one by one 5 different toys and showing it to the camera. And apparently really young children, 2 to 5 year olds, love this video and watch it over and over again. And you know, once you get over 100,000 hits on YouTube start giving you money. And these videos have over 7 million hits each. If you put advertisement on these videos as well, you can make absolutely millions of pounds yourself. So for me, YouTube is a great resource in terms of advice, getting experts to share their ideas, and getting people that you never meet in your life from different towns, from different cities, from different countries, people who are doing something similar to what you're doing in their bedroom, in their house, or starting up their first business, to share massive or key pieces of nuggets. And also you can make loads of money on YouTube yourself.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're not the only person that suggested YouTube. Some people have suggested Google as well. That's another one that sometimes gets forgotten about. Chris, what is your best advice to other entrepreneurs?
So I've said it before and I'll say it again. You need to take action. You need to think about the thing you want to achieve with your business, the people that you want to support or help, or the product that you want to sell, the ethos of your company. You need to be creative. You need to be innovative. You need to think out the box. You might need to think about how you'll package your product, if that's an advice product or a physical product. You need to think about your website. So all this like innovative and creativity. You need to be logical. You need to think about the steps you need to take. You need to create a plan of action. You need to be thinking about the barriers, the potential potholes, find the solutions to that, find the resources in terms of equipment, products, mentors, advice. But ultimately, when you set up a new business, you're going into a new niche, and you're trying to compel yourself from one level business to the next. Be creative, be innovative, get a plan of action, be realistic, but you need to take action. You need to put yourself out there, knowing that you'll make mistakes, knowing that you'll get it wrong, and then reflect on that. I watched a great talk the other day, one of the TED Talk videos, which is another great resource for people like watch loads of TED Talk videos. And there's a guy from Google X. I don't know if you know about Google X, but they're the people who like create really innovative products. So they're the people who created the driverless car, the Google glasses, and the thing that the spaceship that they put on the moon and stuff like that. And what they do is they pay people for closing down projects. So they have loads of ideas, be really creative. And with that creativity comes enthusiasm. So this team like goes out there and like starts putting loads of effort into this stuff, spending potentially millions of pounds or millions of dollars on these projects. And what generally happens is when they get to a stage and they realise that they can't go any further, it's not going to achieve their objective, even though they spent loads of money on that, they'll close that project down and they'll get a bonus for closing that project down, which sounds absolutely crazy. But the opposite to that, which is I think a lot of governments do, is they'll carry on overspending. So as an example, a government might say, right, we need to build a new school or a new hospital or a new town hall, and they'll put £3 million budget into that thing. And for one reason or another, bad weather, resources, the economic climate, or just the cost of things increasing or a delay in time, that £3 million gets spent and the project hasn't been built. So what they do, go, we've spent £3 million, let's just throw another £1 million in there. 6 months later, that £1 million gone, so just put another 1.5 million in there. And they keep doing this because they compare the original budget or the money to date they put into that project and then carry on putting less in. But over a period of time, that compounded money becomes 10 or 15 million pounds. And if you research this has happened across the world with many different governments, with many different businesses as well, actually, where people will put a certain salary or amount of money into a project and then keep tapping and topping that up. Where Google X don't do that, they'll take it to where they want to do it, close down that project and go back to the creativity, a new idea, a new project. And that's why they're one of the leaders in innovation. One of the things they're doing at the moment is hot air balloons for the internet signals over countries that don't have any internet. And the way they need to design these balloons so they sort of rise and fall with a sort of low and high pressure and how they can transport signals from one balloon to another. It's so creative, it's so innovative, but it's got to get this process where they don't throw loads of money at a project that's going to go nowhere because they already spent loads of money on it. They're very good at closing things down, being innovative, being logical and critical, and then taking action.
Everyone, if you didn't manage to get a note of Chris's favourite resource or his favourite book, you can find the links on Chris's show notes page. Just go to the entrepreneurway.com and search for Chris or Chris Delaney in the search box. Chris, is there anything else that you'd like to add about your business?
Well, my business is designed around me. I love variety, I love creativity, I love engaging and helping people. And that's what I'm passionate about. So everything I do is around that. I'll do one-to-one stuff. I'll do group work. I'll do webinars. I'll do seminars. I'll do keynote speaking. I join in podcasts. I wrote several ebooks. I wrote a published book. I got another book on its way that's due out this year. All these different things, but it suits me because I like doing lots of different things. I like being in different places. I like meeting new people. And that's what you got to do with your own business. What is the thing that motivates you? What gets you out of bed on that cold, wet Monday morning when you make mistakes or when things aren't going the right way? What is it that will keep you up, that spark ignited? And that's what you need to do. You need to find your passion, the things that you believe in, your values, and build a business around that. Because when you build a business around that, when you're successful, you'll love it. But when it's a hard day, when you make mistakes, you'll still be motivated to carry on. And I've done that with my business and doing it around the things that motivate, the things I'm passionate about. When I've had a hard week or things haven't gone right, I'll still carry on.
Chris, it's been an honour having you on this show. What I found is that a lot of people come on here and they talk about the mindset of the entrepreneur, but you seem to somehow have managed to dig deeper and do a deep dive on some of those things, which has just been really enlightening and great to learn about. So thank you so much for coming on the show. You really have inspired us all.
Well, thank you for having me. I really, really appreciate being invited down. And if anyone wants to get in contact with me, they can do. I'm always happy to share any of my knowledge or my experiences. But thanks again, Neil. I really appreciate you inviting me down today.
Thank you. You're welcome, Chris.
Thank you for listening to The Entrepreneur Way. Subscribe to our podcast and follow us on Twitter @Neil D. Ball.